We all wonder whenever the finance minister speaks of thousands of crores of rupees in terms of allocations under various heads. We tend to feel from where the money is going to come and under what micro head they are going to allocate this are some of the questions generally comes into the minds of all of us. To demystify that, I would like to tell you the sources of 2023-24 budget in terms of percentages, okay, to simplify the discussion. We all know that for every rupee in the government coffer, 58% will come from direct and indirect taxes. Friends, if we go further slightly into minute levels, GST tends to contribute 17%, while corporate taxes contribute to 15%, whereas 7% comes from excise duty and 4% comes from customs duty, and income tax gives 15% of total sources of funds required for the budget spending. 34% comes from borrowings and other liabilities. 6% comes from non-tax revenue like disinvestment, and 2% from non-debt capital receipts. That is how the composition of sources of money comes into the kitty of the government for spending in the year 2023-24. So, if we analyze the sources, 34% comes from borrowings and other liabilities. Mind you, our budget is majorly dependent on 34% of borrowings for the required sources of funds to be spent on various programs for the year 2023-24. So, it's heavily borrowing oriented budget. Now, let's look at the expenditure side, okay. The biggest outlay is interest payment. Out of the total expenditure that the budget allocates, 20% of the budget sources goes towards interest payments, okay, followed by the state's share of taxes and duties at 18%. Allocation for defense amounts to around 8%. Expenditure on central sector schemes accounts to 17%, while the allocation for centrally sponsored schemes is at 9%. The expenditure on finance commission and other transfers is around 9%. Subsidies account for 9% and pensions account for 4% of the total expenses. Mind you, the government spends 8% out of the entire expenditure allocation towards other expenditures. Thus, the expenditure composition can be stated over a period of time. The revenue expenditure is substantially increasing when compared to the capital expenditure. So, a country like India requires more capital expenditure, less revenue expenditure. That is where financial prudence is the need of the hour, and increasing the allocations towards the capital expenditure is also the need of the hour to maintain higher growth rates. If India has to be a really what you call equitable country which can make all of its citizens as worthy citizens having good amount of money for their needs to meet in the first instance, then India has to grow at a rate of anywhere between 12 to 15%. So till India sees a growth rate of 12 to 15%, we can't really say we have become a great nation. Maybe in terms of numbers of absolute GDP levels, we may say we have leapfrogged one rank above UK or one rank above France, like that. But it really doesn't matter, because India as a country with a population of 1.3 billion has to make substantial segment of its population worthy enough to earn something on their own by providing them the required work. Unless you do that, you can't even dream or imagine to claim that you are a developed nation. Of course, there are pointers, but at the same time, given the limitations, certain times we tend to adjust ourselves with whatever that we have. Hope the information is useful. Thank you very much.